Hey guys, I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds, and I didn't get to do all the Halloween things I wanted to do because, unfortunately, if you've been watching my channel for a long time, my mom has been in the hospital for over a week. We don't know what's wrong. So it's been a very hectic week. I was missing work, everything's been nuts. So I didn't get to do as much Halloween stuff as I wanted, but I really do want to talk about Devil's Night and growing up in Michigan, and I would like to talk about the crow. That is, if you were curious, that's what the tattoo here says. It says it can't rain all the time. Obviously, that's from the crow. If you know anything about it, it's like the main big quote from it. We're going to get into the history of Devil's Night because I found this absolutely fascinating, and I didn't know this, but we call it Devil's Night. I don't know what you guys call it. I've heard Mischief Night, Cabbage Night. I've heard all kinds of nights, but we call it Devil's Night. Especially with everything going on with Alec Baldwin, I really do. I want to talk about this. I'm not going to. I didn't know that people were avoiding this topic. I was trying to do some kind of mermaid thing. I hope you guys are digging it. But yeah, this is a real pumpkin too. But I kind of want to make this lighter and funner because this is very tragic. And not only do I love this movie, obviously, because I have it tattooed on me, but Devil's Night is a big deal in my house in particular because my mom and dad, their anniversary was Devil's Night, October 30th. My dad passed away when I was young. It would have been their 40th anniversary this year, and looking back, I can't believe how much my mom has held things together. What we used to do, it was just always me and my sisters, my Uncle Ed, his wife at the time, my mom and dad, and we would carve pumpkins on Devil's Night, the day before Halloween, and that just was our tradition. After my dad passed away, it kind of just morphed into this like a family get together, and I just give my mom a lot of credit because when you're young you don't really realize things like that. And I'm like, no, you were sad, and so you, instead of dwelling on the fact that your husband had passed away, you turned it into a positive thing and made it, and it's not like it's some huge party or anything. It's literally just the family, friends coming over, roasting stuff on the fire, carving pumpkins. Looking into the history of Devil's Night before we get to the crow, because we are going to get to the crow. It doesn't get, I mean, a lot of people just remember it from the movie Brandon Lee died in, and that's why I want to talk about that too, because when I heard the news about Alec Baldwin, I was like, how? How does this keep happening? Like, I get it, the 90s were a long time ago, but shit, I can't believe they're a long time ago, but we haven't fixed this problem yet, and Brandon Lee is not the first person to die that way, and I know there are a ton of theories that go into the Brandon Lee passing away. Back to Devil's Night. Now, like I said, I want to know down in the comments, what do you call Devil's Night, the day before Halloween? I know it's called Mischief Night, all this other stuff, but I assumed it started as a Celtic tradition, and there are some stories about how it's about fairies and goblins and stuff like that on the day before Halloween, but this makes more sense to me. It became a bigger thing with Guy Fawkes and with, I'm so sorry if you're from England and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about and I'm not saying things correctly, but Bonfire Night. So remember the 5th of November, V for Vendetta, Guy Fawkes, all that shit. October 30th and November 4th, it became a bigger thing of lighting fires and all this stuff. It's kind of how it solidified itself, and I was like, no, that makes a ton of sense. By the time it came over to the U.S., it was Mischief Night and all these other things kind of mixed together, and my camera's acting up, so I don't know if this is even going to work. That was really weird. But yeah, so all of it kind of got mixed together, and this is over hundreds of years of time, and America kind of mix-mashed it all together, and it just depends on where your ancestry is from and where those people settled, and it's very interesting. I thought it was very cool, but I always forget we only call it Devil's Night. Now I understand, like, this was a scary fucking fucked up shit that, I mean, it still happens in Detroit where they go and they burn houses and buildings down, and there's a whole bunch of theories behind that and everything like that, but this is what, I grew up in the 90s. I was born in 1992, my sister in 91, and my other sister in 83, but that's what we did. You carved pumpkins, you toasted the seeds, and you counted the fires on the news. Like I said, this was just a little kid in me. I was ignorant to what was going on, but yeah, you just went in and counted the fires, and it was looking back on it as an adult, it's like, holy fucking shit. This is where I started thinking things were interesting, and I don't know if others will think this is interesting, but I do, and it makes a ton of sense. Like I said, this stems from solidified with Guy Fawkes and this anarchic type of celebration of civil unrest and stuff, and the more civil unrest there has been in history, the bigger Devil's Night or Mischief Night has been. It first started popping off around the Great Depression, and that's when it became a bigger thing of fires and destroying things and civil unrest and crazy shit. When before it was just, oh yeah, funny stuff and pranks. Then we get to 1967 Detroit race riots, where hundreds of people died. I'm pretty sure close to 100, if not more, were injured. All over police brutality towards the black community and to black people, and it's fucked up. 1967, my mom lived through that. She was like, Abby, I remember tanks going down the street. I remember the National Guard coming in. Like, they were little kids when that happened. This was this shit that's going on now, it ain't fucking new. That was when, so that was in the summer of 1967. That following Devil's Night is when shit got real and the fires started happening and everything like that. That is, they don't exactly, there's a whole bunch of stories of where did the term Devil's Night come from. It continued to be a thing, especially in the 80s and 90s. And it wasn't so much about a message anymore, it was just crazy. In 1993, there was 281 fires. I think in 1994 and 95, it was over 300. There still is, to this day, a curfew on Devil's Night in the city of Detroit. I remember this being a huge deal was when they tried to call it Angel's Night, and then people kind of just mocked that and were like, the fact that you are even trying to control it is causing problems. It caused more of a problem, and then and then there was protests to stop it from happening, and now it has died down. Thank God. It's definitely not like it was, but yeah, when I was growing up, it was a huge thing. That part of The Crow is 100% accurate. There are some other little things that are not accurate that really, really irk me. And what bothers me is the creator of the comic is from here, so I'm like, you should have, I don't know. They're little dumb things. I genuinely think The Crow is good, and I know it has good good reviews and stuff, but I do think a lot of that is because Brandon Lee died, and it's tragic, and it's sad, and what's even sadder is when you look into it and see how much he pushed for this to be made, and how hard he worked on it. If you don't know who Brandon Lee is, he was Bruce Lee's son. But in the film, the main big bad guy running the gangs and stuff, he's like, no, we do this for power and for benefit, and we buy up the land, and essentially it's to show his strength. And I thought that was a very smart way to take what really goes on and use it in the story. But I'm not here to talk about conspiracy theories and everything, but you can go and look all that up and believe whatever you want. In the movie The Crow, it is to financially benefit essentially a gang or mob that They fuck up all the real estate, they keep people out, they buy it up, all this stuff, and it's to show their strength. The second you start watching this movie, you know, oh, this is 90s to a T. I'm just going to say that this is this soundtrack is the shit. It's fucking amazing. You have, I wrote them down, where are they? You have The Cure, Stone Temple Pilots, Nine Inch Nails, Rage Against the Machine, Violent Femmes, Pantera, with more than that. This movie has such a distinct feel, though. I love it. Like, I know I'm a goth weirdo, so of course I'm going to love The Crow. There are certain things that we are going to defend if you are born at a certain time. Donnie Darko, Gladiator, and The Crow. First time I think I watched it and remembered it was with Jason, who was on my channel, and it was our shit, and it's the most gothic, over-the-top, cheesy shit, but it's good. It's genuinely good. Love the shot of the models in the beginning, even though you can tell they are models. Like, I think they look great. I do like the way they use the architecture in this, because not only is it super gothic, because it's supposed to be, and that's how he drew it and everything like that, but Detroit has such a distinct look and feel to it, and it's not the same as everywhere else. Let's talk about Ernie Hudson really quick, because people harp on Brandon Lee and his performance and how great it is, and the fact that he passed away, and that should be discussed. But Ernie Hudson is great in this, and him and Brandon Lee have genuine chemistry and are great together on screen. It's 90s as fuck, cigs smoke everywhere, cigs smoke filling the air, everyone's smoking cigs, I can always appreciate it. Get to something real quick. None of us eat our fucking hot dogs that way. We do not have hot dog stands like they show the cop and Ernie Hudson and Sarah, the little girl in the movie, eating at. We do not eat hot dogs at stands. We have Coney fucking Island. No, it is not an amusement park on a pier. No, it is not a place to go. There is a motherfucking Coney Island every fucking half mile in Michigan, and I realize other people don't have that. It's like a diner. Where do you eat breakfast 24 hours a day? Because we go to a Coney Island to do that. And there ain't no mustard, ketchup, onion bullshit going on here. We have literal Coney dogs. I don't know but that always irked me. Ever since I was a kid watching it, I'm like, why are you ordering those hot dogs like that, sir? We don't eat them like that. The scenes where he comes back to life, the scenes where he starts having flashbacks, those are fucking intense and so well done. Like, actually watching this, and not just like because I love it and I'm like, oh my gothic ass is fucking loving this shit. He comes back to life a year later on Devil's Night to avenge him and his fiance's murders. when he comes back to life and he starts getting those glimpses in the flashbacks from touching things in the loft and touching the wedding ring and stuff like that, that is genuinely heartbreaking. And this is what I mean about movies and sounds and pictures on a screen invoking emotions. Those flashback scenes should not be easy to watch, and they're not. It's scary, it's sad, and it's disturbing, and it should make you feel that way. You also have him remembering his good memories with her, and those hit just as fucking hard, and I think it's really well done. I mean, they're the bad guys, but they're irredeemable, they're fucked up, they're crazy, they're doing drugs, they're this, and it's this gang that killed them, and he is killing them off one by one until he gets to the main guy in charge of all the gangs at the end of the movie. The transformation scene to the Cure is amazingly done. I love his transformation scene, if that's what you want to call it, when he starts to paint his face, when he starts to realize what he has to do, and he's been sent back just for this time to take these people out that murdered him and his fiance. The killing scenes in this are so fucking brutal and awesome, and I will give them credit for this. The scene when he kills Tintin, who's throwing the knives and he catches it. It's iconic. When he has him up against the wall and he says, "Oh, you don't remember Shelley Webster, you don't remember Eric Draven," and he says, yeah, some guys, or some dude, some bitch, and he slaps him. Like, he's already been beating the shit out of you, and this guy couldn't kill you, and now you're just slapping him, like, showing him, like, you're a bitch. Call her a name one more time. And they don't make him perfect. Like, they don't make Eric Draven is like a perfect boyfriend type in the flashbacks and stuff, but they don't make him like a perfect character, and I miss having that in superhero films. Scenes of him playing guitar and doing parkour and running with a crow, a little cheesy, yes. Are some of the lines cheesy? Yes. But overall, this is great. I stand by that, I do. Didn't shy away from saying things like, you raped her. You murdered her. You did this. Like, you raped her. You hurt her. Like, he says that shit. And a lot of times you don't get stuff like that anymore because people want to make things more digestible for the public now. And like I said, it's when you watch it happen in a movie and you haven't seen stuff like that in a very long time, unless you're watching some like prestige film and they're talking about something serious, that's not really dropped. And it's like, especially I know this is a much darker superhero, but you normally don't get stuff like that, and I appreciate the fact, and that's not the only thing they don't shy away from, like, but I appreciate that about this movie. He robs Gideon's pawn shop to find the engagement ring that he gave to Shelley. That is heartbreaking and awesome. And when he's telling him, like, oh no, you like the coat? I got it off Tintin, like the guy that he just killed. I want to get into detail about all of the kill scenes because I realized how much I thought each one is distinct and each one is brutal and great. There's a sub-conflict going on that you don't need to over-explain it to us. We just know Ernie Hudson, the cop, got knocked down a peg and lost some promotion, and whoever's above him is a dick. There's this inner cop conflict of, like, doing the right thing on Devil's Night and doing the right thing in general, and maybe this guy's not so great, and maybe this guy is, and maybe not all cops are the greatest people. And I like that they have this little conflict going on in the background without really hardcore saying it. After Eric Draven robs Gideon's pawn shop and he's talking to Ernie Hudson, the cop, and says, don't the police... I thought the police said freeze. I love that back and forth. Like I said, can it be a little cheesy? Yeah, it can. But I do love their back and forth. And I think Ernie Hudson is awesome in this. The cop is finding all these dead gang members all around the town, and he's telling them, he's like, this ain't no gang shit. Like, this is some crazy shit. I don't know what's happening. So after he runs into Eric Draven, he realizes who he is. He's like, oh, I'm the one who showed up at the crime scene and tried to save your fiance and all this stuff. And the line when he says, no, they were already dead. They were dead a year ago the moment he touched her. It's like, oh my God. I don't care how cheesy it is. It's fucking great and it's fucking adorable. But because of how emotional those flashback scenes are and because those are done well and they actually hit you in the heart, it's like the cheesiness isn't bad. Do you know what I mean? Entering Funboy's apartment, the music, the entrance, all of it, that is, as a character, as an actor, the way it's shot, the way it's edited, with the crow on it, it's so badass. That is such a badass scene of him entering Funboy's apartment, and now we're going to get into some sad shit. So if you want to click off, click off. I think a lot of people think that the scene where they light him up and they're all shooting guns at him is when he dies in the club towards the end. No. The scene that killed Brandon Lee, which is devastating, I'm pretty sure they left a dummy bullet in the gun, and the firearms people didn't double check. It was from another scene. And because it was such a close distance, it was like a real bullet. So when he's shot in the hand by Funboy, when him and Sarah's mom are getting high and Eric Draven shows up, that's what killed Brandon Lee. And the issue on set was they didn't know he was actually as badly injured as he was. And so it took longer to get him to a hospital, and he passed away, which is tragic. If you know how hard this man worked to have this made, and how hard he worked on it, and how he was, listen to any interviews talking about him getting this movie made and playing this character. He put his all into it. That actor who played Fun Boy, which is another one of the gang members, he couldn't even go to the premiere. He couldn't watch the movie because he was so devastated by what he did, because he didn't mean to, and it was just an accident. He's gonna kill Fun Boy, and he puts him in the bathroom. This is the only super lit up scene we see in the whole movie, and that's when we get like full fluorescence on Eric Draven, and it's still creepy and cool and awesome, and you can, because shooting in the dark, you can cover a lot of things up. Shooting in bright lights and going, and that jarring contrast in that scene is so smart and so awesome, because it's not just him, in my eyes, it's not just him coming into this apartment to do this and kill this guy. She thinks she's going to get hurt, so she's hiding in the bathroom, and so he chucks Fun Boy into the bathtub because he wants to wake him up and tell him why he's fucking killing him, but the mom is cowering in the corner and saying, like, don't hurt me, don't hurt me, don't hurt me, and then he holds her arm out, and the drugs they just did start to come out, and he says, he quotes the Bible, he says, God, or mother is the name of God on the lips of all children, morphine is bad. And it's like, he delivers that line so well. The scene is so well done, but not only is it, I'm coming into this darkness because darkness is coming for you, Fun Boy, but now I'm in this bright light because I'm talking to this woman who's innocent, and I'm telling her advice. It's essentially, so I'm going into the light and still being a good person. But when I come for you, I'm a very dark person. Do you get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? He does eventually go talk to the cop again. I love this back and forth. Trivial things used to mean so much to Shelley, and he says, oh yeah, the trivial shit don't matter. And Eric Draven says, no, you think it does matter. It matters a lot. The little trivial things you think don't, they do. And the cigarette scene, and when he picks the cop's cigarette up out of the ashtray and hits it, and then he holds it up and says, these things will kill you. And it's like, that's supposed to be funny because he's out here killing people, and Ernie Hudson, the cop, knows that's happening. But he's also saying, just the way it's delivered, it's genuinely funny. When the little girl, Sarah, gets snatched up, and we get the best quote, like I said, I have it tattooed on me, it can't rain all the time. It's great, but this is when I thought, dear God, how terrible was this shoot? Because it's raining the whole time, which means you are sopping wet the whole fucking time. When the little girl goes back to the loft and sees Eric's back and is so happy, I love that scene, it's great. We get him doing these brutal murders, we get him doing things that aren't the greatest, we get him doing good things, and we have this character go all over the place, and you believe it every time he does it. You believe that he is so warm and kind towards the people he wants to be, and he has absolutely no mercy for these other people. I understand that's how the character should be, but the way Brandon Lee played it, he's the reason it's believable. And playing guitar on roofs is cheesy and shit. Welcome to the fucking 90s. The club scene is sweet. The gang's coming for him, and they're all shooting him, and he's taking all, because he can just regenerate like Wolverine, so he's getting lit up by everybody and then takes them all out at the club is awesome. Honestly, I think the one part of this movie that isn't its strongest is the end. I'm not saying that I hate it or anything, but the whole, I would say the first 75% is the best part, making it back to his grave, and everything's fine and dandy, and all that, but I really do. I think that the fight on the roof is cool, but it's cheesy as shit, but I like the ending, but I do think the rest of the movie is better. If that makes any sense. Brandon Lee is not the first person to die on a movie set from something like this. That's why it was such it was a tragedy back when it happened, and not only that, that's why I was so shocked about the Alec Baldwin thing. When I opened up my phone on my break at work the other night and saw that had happened again, I was like, why are there not stricter things in place for this? Now, I heard people were avoiding this topic. I heard people were not wanting to talk about it because people were so upset. I understand why people are upset. This is a tragedy that happened on this set with Alec Baldwin. All I'm saying is, I'm not here to tell you how to think. And there are supposed to be people in place to check these things. Yes, they do use real firearms on sets. Yes, there's blanks, there's dummy bullets, I'm not on a movie set, I don't do that, but there are specialists that are on set for things like that. They are supposed to be in charge of it. Just like you have stuntmen and sound people, like that's their job. And I'm not trying to say whatever here. We'll know more soon, I'm sure. There might be more info out now that I don't know about because I recorded this tonight, and by the time I'm posting it, it'll probably be after Halloween, but I don't give a shit. And yeah, so I don't know. We don't have the full story yet, but this could have been it could have been a malfunction, it could have been a mistake, it could have been people are coming at this and saying like gun safety, gun safety, gun safety. I was raised around guns my entire life. The first thing we were ever taught was how to clean them, take care of them, and then safety was a huge thing about them. I'm not pushing guns on anybody. I think that there's a huge problem in this country with that, with guns. But you never point a gun at a person, loaded or not. You don't ever want to have to fire a firearm. Like those. My mom was super big on that. After my dad passed away, and it was a house of all women. Yes, my mom made us learn how to use guns. Yes, all kinds. Like it is what it is. But we are huge on gun safety in this house. So I know people are using that as an argument. Okay. You wouldn't have movies like John Wick. You wouldn't have scenes like Scarface or any of those if gun safety, how we use it in the real world, was used on a movie set, if that makes sense. And I'm not making excuses for anybody. It's not like I'm obsessed with Alec Baldwin or something. If he was fucking around and knew this could be a danger, yes, by all means, he should be in trouble. But what I'm saying is there was supposed to be somebody who knew what was in that gun. There was supposed to be somebody that knew how it would fire and how it would do this. Blanks still have shrapnel in them and can hurt somebody if they're not properly done. Like I said, we have Brandon Lee as a perfect example. They messed up with the take. They thought it was the gun still had a dummy bullet in it. He got hit at too close of a range, and it killed the man on what he loved. And it's tragic. I would just like to know what happened, because if something happened to me, I would want the people responsible to be held accountable and not somebody who was just kind of involved and was doing their job. Her name is Helena Hutchins, right? I hope I'm pronouncing her first name right because she deserves that respect. She passed away from this. Like, my job sucks. Like, there's a reason why we need to be protected at it. But when you're going to do something you love, like film, like if I was coming to do something on here, which I know isn't close to a movie or anything, and some disaster happened, and because of it, and that is so sad. Like, that is so sad. It was sad when it happened with Brandon Lee. It's sad. It's absolutely heartbreaking. But all I'm trying to say here is I'm not defending Alec Baldwin. I'm not saying this. I'm not saying that. But I didn't realize how angry people were and how they were calling for his head and stuff, and I'm like, that's not who I think should be being talked about right now. I think that it needs to be the production and who the fuck was in charge of this. And did you know, did you not know? Was it a total accident? Was this not a total accident? What do you call Devil's Night where you're from? Also, remember to subscribe, remember to comment, like, share, whatever. It really helps me a lot, though. I can't believe that we're almost at 300, and remember that once we hit 300, if you subscribe and comment on a video, sorry, I'm just doing this one-handed, but see these Loki horns with the stand? It's super cool, and it glows in the dark at the bottom. At 300 subs, I'm going to give that away. All you have to do is subscribe and comment on a video. But yeah, this is absolutely tragic. I don't know if more's come out about it. It was tragic when it happened to Brandon Lee. It's super sad. Go watch The Crow. It's fucking great. Go listen to the fucking soundtrack, especially if you claim to be fucking goth or alt or whatever the fuck, because if you don't know The Crow soundtrack, get the fuck up out my face. I really hope this came out okay, but we'll find out in a minute. Do you know how long it took me to get into this on my own? Jesus.